What's going on, everyone? John Matrix here. Hope you're all having yourselves a lovely day wherever you're at and whenever you're watching this. We're going to be jumping into the SCP universe here with another video from the Vulcan. We're going to be checking out SCP-1788, the adults object class Keter humanoid SCP. I don't think I've ever heard about this one, so I'm eager to see what this story is about. So let's jump into it here. Links will be down below as always in the description to the original video without my commentary and reaction, and to the Vulcan's channel. So please do me a favor, click those links if you enjoyed this video. Go give it a like, and if you're not already subbed to the Vulcan, please do me a favor going over there and showing him some support and hitting that sub button on his channel. But yeah, let's just jump into this video here. So again, this is SCP-1788, the adults object class Keter humanoid SCP.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Miller, and the SCP
the quality is so bad.
Studying today is SCP-1788. Object class, Keter.
Get it.
Special containment procedures. Containment of SCP-1788 is currently impossible. Embedded agents in various governments, including those of and are working to enact mandatory routine screenings under the guise of tuberculosis eradication as a means of pinpointing SCP-1788-1 instances. Any suspected instances of SCP-1788-1 are to be reported immediately to Armed Biological Area 223 Command.
Is this some kind of like virus or something like that that can spread? Interesting. I don't know. I mean, they're talking about like tuberculosis eradication. They're using that as like a cover story to find out what this is. So I would assume that in order for using like tuberculosis as some kind of medical condition for a cover, that would be something that could look like tuberculosis, something similar, you know, who knows.
Personnel are not to engage suspected instances and should retreat immediately. The Foundation currently has 7 instances of SCP-1788-1 imprisoned in Armed Biological Area 223. Contact with these instances is strictly forbidden outside of approved experiments. Each instance is to be housed in a separate humanoid containment cell. Feeding and cleaning requirements are laid out in Document 1788 CF. No more SCP-1788-1 instances are required for current research purposes. Any newly discovered instances of SCP-1788-1 are preemptively cleared by O5 Command for immediate termination by Armed Mobile Task Force Tau 4. All things bright and dutiful. Description: SCP-1788 is a process, treatment, or other means of biological transformation. A prepubescent human being subjected to SCP-1788 becomes an instance of SCP-1788-1.
So any human exposed to wherever this is before they hit puberty becomes this SCP-1788?
Currently, the creators or discoverers of SCP-1788 is unknown. Groups of interest are being investigated. Finding the origin of SCP-1788 is considered a Sindri-level priority.
So like, I wonder what it is. Is it turning them to some other kind of new species that looks like they're humans, but they're not? Like, I mean, that's what it sounds like, but like, what is this other species? Are they closely related to humans? Is that how this species has to reproduce, by essentially like taking over the bodies of, again, you know, humans before they hit puberty? Is it some kind of symbiotic relationship? Or do they like fully inhabit the body and make it into an entirely different species? Like, what is this?
On reaching adulthood, SCP-1788-1 instances display predatory behavior towards prepubescent humans.
What?
Typically, they will settle in a large urban center, find a form of white-collar employment, then...
Is this supposed to be something where like this is like what pedophilia is? Like, that's kind of where I feel like this is going. They're trying to say that pedophilia is actually an SCP condition. The idea of predatory behavior towards prepubescent humans, that like, that's where feel like this is leaning.
And begin tracking prepubescents in the area. Approximately once every 6 months, An SCP-1788-1 instance will attempt to abduct one of the prepubescents it has been tracking and
Now, I mean, again, if this is how this species reproduces, it would make sense as to why it would try to track them down, because obviously it needs kids in order to reproduce its species. So it's not like a, you know, sexual thing. At least I would hope not. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. This just sounds kind of weird where this is going. I don't know. I don't know where this is going.
take them to a remote or otherwise unobserved location, where it is subjected to the SCP-1788 process and turned into an instance of SCP-1788-1. Little information has been...
Thankfully, it's not going where some of the indications I thought were going. Okay, so yeah, it's just taking them and converting them into whatever the species is, whatever that process is. But like, what is this species?
gathered from captured instances of SCP-1788-1. Instances are of above average intelligence and show extremely strong resistance to compulsion, coercion, torture, and other forms of information extraction.
Interesting.
Every instance to date has also shown signs of malignant narcissism and psychopathy. They generally have a complete lack of empathy, while also showing keen psychological insight. For these reasons, among others, unauthorized contact with SCP-1788-1 instances is strictly forbidden.
Huh. I don't know. I'm trying to think about, I mean, it seems like this is some kind of alien species that has to like take over and inhabit our bodies before we have puberty. I don't know. That's interesting, but strange. I'm just trying to like think about where this is going, why. And is it a symbiotic thing, or do they like completely take over? And it sounds like they're a different individual. Although, I mean, they're saying that they get more narcissistic and psychopathic. They don't show any kind of empathy. So is it just changing? Yeah, I don't know.
Individual instances generally do not voluntarily gather or interact, except for the purposes of mating. In fact, when two or more instances are placed in the same environment, they typically fight for dominance. This behavior is not gender-linked. Females and males will fight one another in addition to their own genders.
Okay. So this isn't how their species reproduces. What? Like, I don't know. Okay.
And in a mixed gender group, there will only be one dominant individual, who may be male or female. Captured instances are housed separately to minimize damage. Multiple instances have been seen in the same general urban area, but never in a ratio greater than 1 in 100,000 normal humans.
Damn.
Mating season apparently occurs annually, but is not seasonally linked. Instances in some environments have been observed mating in the summer, while other instances have been observed mating in winter months. SCP-1788-1 instances will exclusively mate with one another. They have no apparent sexual attraction to normal humans.
So what are these things? Is it a parasite? Like, what is this? I don't even have like, there hasn't been any kind of description as to what it is, what it does, other than take over people's bodies, you know, when they're kids. Like, why it does that? Like, why does it need to do that? I assume obviously it's some kind of survival need, but like, what is that need? And like, why does it seem to only be able to affect kids, essentially, people before they hit puberty? Is there something about hormone levels or something like that that allow us to reject them when we get older? You know, something along those lines? Or is it something about brain chemistry and how our brains develop, and once we hit puberty, our brains develop in a way where they can't infect our brains and take over our bodies or something like that? You know, like, this is interesting but strange.
Gestation period for SCP-1788-1 instances is approximately 40 weeks, roughly the same as humans. Their offspring are genetically indistinguishable from normal humans and are not considered anomalous. However, as they are prime candidates for undergoing the SCP-1788 process, their capture or termination is to be considered high priority, second only to the termination of SCP-1788-1 instances. SCP-1788-1 Anatomy. It is extremely difficult to distinguish an instance of SCP-1788-1 from a normal adult human, even on close inspection. Individuals show variation as expected from gender and ethnicity, but share certain characteristics in common. SCP-1788-1 individuals appear to be obese, within the range of 150 to 200 kilograms when fully grown. SCP-1788-1 instances have larger than average eyes, though not enough to appear abnormal on casual inspection. Their sweat contains high levels of potassium and copper, though still within the normal range for an adult human. Though externally normal, their internal anatomy has been extensively changed. SCP-1788-1 instances' long bones and cranium have been reinforced with several heavy metals, and their muscle fibers have been interwoven with structures resembling carbon nanotubes.
So essentially, in order to really tell the difference of them, you have to do an X-ray, is what I'm getting.
This gives them durability, strength, and speed well above the human baseline. See document 1788-1-DX for measurements and estimates. Level 3 clearance is required. SCP-1788-1 instances possess backup organs and systems for most of their body's vital processes. For example, they have a secondary heart lower in the torso, which can work in tandem with the primary heart to more efficiently circulate blood, or can function independently as necessary. Certain blood vessels have complex valve structures, allowing instances to close off blood flow to damaged limbs and other areas to prevent excessive blood loss. Other organ systems also have 2 or 3 redundant backups that can take over in the event of the failure of the primary organs.
So it seems pretty obvious that internally they're extremely different than humans, and it would be easy to spot them that way. Okay. What happens? I mean, I guess what would, if one of these things were to be injured, right, gets into a car accident and they get taken to the hospital and a doctor starts to perform surgery, right, and then they see all these changes in the system, redundant organs, an extra heart, etc., etc., obviously that would be a problem. The SCP would have to sweep in and, anesthetize them and take the body, blah, blah, blah. But it's you'd think instances would have happened where something like that has occurred and, some kind of word would have gotten out, It could have turned into an urban legend thing or something like that, though, who knows?
SCP.
Because I mean, it is only 1 in 100,000 of these things, them to human ratio, essentially.
1788-1 instances also possess a secondary brain located in the upper torso and protected by its own skeletal structure, similar in construction to the rib cage. Currently, the exact function of this brain is unknown. It is known that this brain can continue to function even in the event of the destruction of the primary brain.
Yeah, it sounds like it's probably just a copy backup of the primary brain,
as demonstrated by Incident 1788-XR-12. The final difference in the gross anatomy is the appearance of a second pair of arms, located directly below the main pair. These have apparently equal strength and dexterity to the upper pair.
Wait, so they have an extra set of arms? How is that not noticeable, right? Do they just keep their other pair of arms tucked in underneath their clothing or something? How does that work? You would think that would be pretty obvious that someone's got an extra set of arms.
And SCP-1788-1 instances are apparently capable of using all 4 arms simultaneously. When not actively hunting, instances hold the lower pair folded closely to their sides, where they are largely concealed by natural bulk. When hidden in this manner, it is virtually impossible to distinguish a clothed instance of SCP-1788-1
Answers the question.
from a normal, obese human, except on close inspection. This is interview log SCP-1788-1, 863. Playing log now.
Please state your name for the record.
I don't need a name. Names are for children.
It's kind of a creepy voice.
The driver's license and other
It sounds like a Batman villain, dude. Sounds like Killer Croc or something.
Need a name. Names are for children.
The driver's license and other materials on your person identify you as... Is that your name?
That's my child name. I don't need it now.
Then I'll refer to you as 863.
Call me what you like. Just don't call me late for supper.
Median over here.
You were found by our agents outside an elementary school, and documents in your car and apartment include multiple photographs of children taken without their knowledge. Are you a pedophile, 863?
You sick. I'll kill you. You're the pervert. You.
If you're not a pedophile, 863, then why are you observing children?
You think they're children? I can't believe we came from you.
Explain what you mean by that, 863.
That's what I mean. You think you can hurt me with that? You're a failure, Doctor. You don't even know what you are.
Would you care to elaborate, 863?
You wonder why your scientists haven't found any anomalous implants in our bodies? Why we have no surgical scars? Why our genes are pure, unmodified, human? Because we are human, Doctor.
Your x-rays don't look very human, 863.
We don't look like you.
Huh.
We're not failures. We're not children.
Interesting. So this is some kind of evolution of our species, essentially. There's only 1 in 100,000 of them. Maybe it's some kind of other mutation of our species, but somehow they still need our kids, you know, in order to propagate. I don't know. It's weird. Like why do they need the prepubescent kids to attach themselves to? Right? I mean, it sounds like it is another way of their procreation and keeping their species alive, but they still go through mating like any normal species would. So, like, is it a situation where so few of them actually like make it through the mating process or something like that? That this is a backup way for their species to keep going? Like, I don't know. It sounds weird.
You regard us as children?
You still look like children. You aren't finished.
What do you...
You're stunted. Incomplete. You're like the amphibian that grows up to breathe water instead of air. The eggs I watched, they must hatch into us. They need to be finished.
So you abduct them to complete their metamorphosis?
We don't need companionship. We don't live like you in herds. Each one of us knows what we need to do, and each of us is capable of it.
And what do you want us to do?
Grow up. Or die.
I mean, they sound more it sounds more animalistic.
Okay, that about does it for today. Thank you all for listening, if indeed you still are, and you were all dismissed. Goodbye.
Like, the way it talked made it sound more like it's driven on instinct than anything else. It doesn't sound like it actually has a choice to do what it does. It sounds like it has to do it instinctually. It's a drive that it can't ignore. It sounds more like an animal than anything else. And I mean, the like the not needing as much social interaction, you know, being more of a loner thing, that kind of goes more leaning towards an alpha predatory kind of animal, you know, like bears and large, you know, some large cat species. They're very solitary animals and very successful predators, but kind of more of along those kind of lines. And the narcissism and the more psychopathic, you know, tendencies again would lean more towards being a more predatory species. So I don't know. It was also interesting that it took a lot more offense when you did call him a pedophile. So I don't know if there is still some kind of, there is something to that. There is some kind of strange pedophilic nature involved in this hunters. I don't know. Because again, like, it just seems strange that they still have their own mating cycle, but they still have to snatch kids up in order to convert them into their species. I don't know. It just seems, it's still, again, it could just be another like evolution of their species in order to help keep them alive. You know, who knows? But obviously it doesn't seem like the creature is going into the real reasons behind a lot of that. So interesting though, very creepy story, but also kind of fascinating. The idea of there is some kind of either other mutation, or, I mean, because we know that there have been other hominoid species in history, you know, Neanderthals, the Devonians, I think is what they're called as well. And potentially, you know, a lot more. There were, you know, humans that were supposed to be a lot bigger and taller than us, but they didn't necessarily sweat properly, and I don't know, things like that. I've heard like that. There's been a lot of different kinds of humanoid, you know, species that we've, I guess, found skeletons for, and so it's not far-fetched to think that there could be another evolution of humanoid that uses us in that kind of way, that we are kind of you know, it's almost kind of like the ideas of vampires, you know, like vampires could be considered like a predatory species for us. You know, throughout nature, every species has some kind of predator that usually keeps it in check. So this could be something along those lines, you know, maybe it was some kind of other evolution of humanoid that throughout history had used us and fed on us or whatever, and you know, we just have evolved and grew too large for them to you know, I guess what, control the population, if that's the proper, you know, terminology. You know, who knows, I don't know, but interesting story nonetheless. So that was SCP-1788. Links will be down below in the description to the original video without my commentary and reaction, into the Vloggins channel. So please do me a favor, if you enjoyed this video as you go through it, give it a like, and if you enjoy the content the Vloggin puts out there and you haven't hit that sub button on his channel yet, please do me a favor of doing it. Go hit that sub button on his channel. Show the man some love. He definitely deserves it. He makes a lot of wonderful content for the SCP universe as well as others. So yeah, show the man some love. If you'd like to join us when we do these reactions live, we'd love to have you guys come in and join the discussions. There is a join button underneath the video, as well as the link in the description to YouTube membership benefits and tiers that I offer. So if any of that interests you, take a look, and we'd love to have you guys come in here if you want to take your sport to the next level. But with all that said, thank you guys very much. Hope you're all having yourselves a wonderful day. See you on the next.